Good morning, everyone. This is Anne from Book Carnival in Orange, California. I'm so glad you've joined us. Delighted today to be speaking with Nora Murphy. This is Nora's first book called The Favor. I'm going to hold it up and see if I have any luck. I won't because I have everything focused on Nora, who's the important person today. The book is amazing, but first we'll get a little background from you, Nora. Your profile is up to date because you are a first-time author. So you're living in Maryland, married, a husband, a young son, and you've just shared you're expecting your second, which is wonderful. Congratulations on that, and 5 rescue pets. So you have a household to take care of, a career. You're a lawyer. You've attended law school in Washington, D.C., worked as a judicial law clerk, and then in private practice. Does that bring you current?
That is current, all up to date, no changes yet since it's so new.
And how long have you actually been practicing law?
I have been, so I did the judicial clerkship for 2 years, and then I've been practicing for about 5 years since then now.
That's amazing. And in between all of that, you managed to write this incredible book called The Favor. The cover itself tells us a little bit about what's happening. I love the blocks, the isolation that is shown by the 2 women on the cover. Very effective. Did you have a lot of say into the cover, or was it the designer?
So this is actually the first cover that I saw, and I think everyone agreed that it was just perfect for exactly the reasons that you said. I think that, I mean, not only is it, I think, an appealing cover, I love the colors of it, it's also very emblematic of what's going on in the book. Like you said, the isolation, the being boxed in, the feeling of being trapped. It just captures the book so well. So I think when we all saw it, we knew it was the one. It was perfect.
And I agree. 2 of my favorite colors, blue and yellow, for one thing, which attracted me. But the boxes tell so much. You have, because of the type of law that you practice, you have experience with these types of things. Did that have anything to do with the type of book you chose to write?
I do think that my practice had a lot to do with the story behind The Favor. It was mostly inspired by research that I did in law school because I did 2 clinics where I worked with and studied intimate partner violence and the legal issues surrounding that. So in law school, through clinics, you're sometimes able to actually represent people in court with the help of a supervisor, which is a really good experience for a law student. So I did those 2 clinics that were focused on issues surrounding intimate partner violence. And for one, I wrote a research paper about professional abusers. So that by that I mean abusers who have special training or skills, expertise, maybe high-powered careers. They have a lot of credibility, and survivors of such abusers face unique and different challenges. So I explored that through a paper, and that was really the inspiration behind The Favor, because I wanted to see how I could take those concepts and create a novel that could help people understand why survivors of such abusers, it might not be so easy for them to leave as we think from the outside it might be. We might see them and think, well, they have resources, they're affluent, they're educated, they anytime they need to, they can just walk out the door, they can find safety. And what I found is that's just not true. The reality is so far from that. So I wanted to create characters that could help explain and show those unique struggles through something that could be emotionally compelling and also suspenseful despite the difficult topic, something that could be fun and enjoyable to read.
And you succeeded amazingly well. You're getting all kinds of praise for the books, and it's being written up and in the different magazines, trade magazines. So you've accomplished that goal amazingly well. Did you find, I don't know how to phrase this, do you find that the job, are you able to separate yourself from what happens with your clients to be able to look at things with a different light? Does it impact you?
So I was not. That is why I don't practice that type of law anymore because I couldn't. I would get so emotionally invested and be up at night worrying about these people, and
Okay.
that can be very, it is I have so much respect for people who are able to have that sort of practice. So I practiced family law, doing a wide variety of divorce and custody cases for a few years, but it was not for me. So I transitioned into something completely different. So for now I practice franchise law, and I really enjoy the separation of this. That's very detail oriented, and can be at times dry. And then I think that goes well with writing novels and fiction on the side. It's a much healthier balance.
It sounds it. I'm glad to hear that because in reading this and all of the knowledge that you had that shows in the book, I felt that it would be draining. Just literally, even as a mature person looking at it, and you're a young person, which um, would sour you on the world if you were involved with it too long or too deeply, I would think. It would be hard to not have it affect you. Your characters are very vivid, but the clever part, and I told you this before we started, I'm going to find it hard to ask questions because too much hinges on what is said and the complexity of the plot. It's not hard to read, but it's hard to discuss without giving something away.
Mhm.
So I'm going to leave a lot of that up to you as to how much of it you want to share. I want everyone to get excited about it and know that it's something well worth their time to read. But I don't want to slip up and give something key away. So you take it from here and give me some snippets that you would like to share.
Sure. It's funny you say that because I have seen a lot of reviews about the book where people said I went in blind, and that was great. So I think I like to go into thriller suspense books that way too, but generally the book is about two women, Leah and McKenna. So they're both, educated, formerly successful women. From all appearances, they have these picture perfect lives. They live in a suburban, nice area. And then Leah comes across McKenna when she's going about her daily life, and she recognizes something in her. She sees similarities to things that she's struggling with in her own life. And she decides that she's going to keep an eye out for McKenna. She's going to watch over her. So she begins to do that. And ultimately, she sees more than she can take. She intervenes. And from there, the story kind of spirals from Leah's intervention into McKenna's life, and just the consequences that ripple throughout their lives for both of them.
That's a very good, you did that very well. I wouldn't have done it as well. Thank you. I recommend the book to everyone because it's not only about spousal problems, but it deals with so many other things. And it's we know that's a common problem for many women, but it also deals with other issues and their ways of coping. And so I think that it's suspenseful. I couldn't put it down. I lost a little sleep on your account, trying to finish it in one sitting, not entirely in one sitting. It was 2 sittings, but the second one got me to the part where I did not want to put it down until I turned the last page. You talked about a local bookstore and seeing the books on display. You're not doing any signings right now in public, but you're going to venture out and check out what's happening in the local stores in your area. What direction are you going? I'm assuming you're into your next book by now. That's typically what happens with authors. And is it something completely different, or is it going to be a continuation?
Yeah, so my second book is we're working on edits right now. So it's written, it's going through the editorial process, and it is another standalone with wholly new characters. But I think it's similar in the favor in a lot of ways. It's another domestic suspense book, but it also tackles issues. I think the favor includes, I would say, some maybe social commentary and some teachings about the topic of intimate partner violence. So my second book, I would say, is a little similar in the way that it's a completely different topic, but it's focused on the main character who's in this postpartum period that she's finding very challenging. So that is the general basis, but then it is another suspense novel.
Oh, how exciting. And when do you expect that to be out?
I don't know, but I'm thinking sometime around next summer. I'm thinking about a year from when The Favorite came out, which was May 31st.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm excited about that, and we'll certainly follow you. And as I mentioned, I hope we can have you at Book Carnival at some point with your next book. It's always wonderful to meet authors in person. It makes everyone feel closer and more involved. What you have, we talked about all the animals beforehand, but you rescue pets, which is strikes a very warm spot in my heart because they need rescuing. There's so many. And you were talking about your little son and the hugs. With some of the animals enjoy that and others not so much.
Yes, I have 2 rescue dogs. They're both German Shepherd mixes. And then I have 3 rescue cats. And I have a son who's almost 3. So he loves his pets. My one cat, Dexter, it's funny, my son can just wrap his arms around him and just lay on the floor with him, and Dexter lets him do that. So it's the sweetest thing. The other cats, not so much. But the dogs are more tolerant in that vein, I think. But yeah, it's a lot of fun having a full house. I enjoy it. I love animals. So I work from home, so they keep me company all day. I have 3 cats, all 3 sitting on my desk next to me.
Oh, yes, I know how treacherous that can be. I have 2, and my desk is always a mess here and at the store. And if they get up on it, things go sliding. So.
I know. I set up boxes so I have like an L-shaped desk. So I put a few boxes on the side, and that tends to work pretty well. They each will get in their designated box and have a nap. So
yes, they do have, anytime I get books delivered, the cats just love the boxes and the wrapping paper. I usually leave that spread out across the living room floor for them.
I
Um,
do the same.
Good. I don't feel so badly then. I have, I'm not watching up here. And we may have to redo some of our conversation just a little. Carol has said, looking forward to reading The Favor, also hoping to see you at Book Carnival next summer. And she adds, yes, cats and boxes. We can
Yeah.
all relate to that. Hi, Lilia. Nora has been telling us about the book, and we may go over some of this conversation again so that with the recording too, when it's posted, it's nice to have a repeat of some of these things. You were in a type of law that was very challenging emotionally and probably physically. You've put in a great amount of time on that and retained a lot of knowledge. And you mentioned, and I've forgotten the term now, but you ran 2 different
Clinics.
clinics. Thank you. I was searching for the word, which gave you a great deal of insight into the things that are truly going on in our community. You wisely, in my opinion, chose to go into a different type of law than to pursue the family situation as much because of the stress that creates. But from that, you got the plots for this book and possibly your second one. And you found a way to bring it to attention without making them more of a victim than they already are. I found that interesting, as we discussed with the cover, which I'll show at the end when I open it up to everyone. You just discussed how happy you were with this cover, right? It was the first thing you saw.
Yes, it was the only cover that I saw, and I think as soon as I saw it, I knew there wasn't anything we could do to make it better. It was perfect.
I agree with you. As I mentioned, blue, and as everyone knows, blue is my favorite color. Second is yellow, and that makes up. But the boxes, the way the cover is divided into the 2, 4, 6 boxes, and the images in 2 of them tell so much just before you even opened it. The isolation, as you phrased it, the boxed-in feeling. I agree. No one could have done a better job. And whoever did this actually read the book and understood what it was happening. That is not always the case.
I think so. I think it's very clear. It captures as much as one image can capture a book. I think this cover does that.
It really does. Yeah, it's to be treasured. And as I mentioned, we have a window full. Because I mistakenly thought that we were going to have you in person, but you explained you are having your second child soon. You're fairly far along, so a perfect reason not to travel, especially with COVID sort of hovering still. But congratulations on that. That's always exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping he comes a little early. I'm ready to evict him. So we'll see.
Yes, I remember that feeling very well. It's so long is enough, right? And so I really appreciate you doing the event today with me. Lilia wants to know, how did you work with the cover designer?
So I actually never even really got to that point because so my editors internally, they were working with the designer. So we had a conversation, or I had a conversation with my editors about thoughts about what images might work. And we didn't really settle on anything. And then they just a few weeks later sent me the cover, and it was just, no one had suggested anything like it, but it was just perfect. So it wasn't even an iterative or back and forth process for me. It was just so the whole process was so simple because it was just like, here it is. It's perfect. So, and this is of course my first experience with a cover. So now I have no idea what's normal, what usually happens, but because my experience was just, here's the perfect cover, and that was that.
No, it is wonderful. And authors quite often hear, here, this is the cover we've designed. You love it, right? And the author usually has no choice but to say yes. But in this case, it absolutely was perfect. And what I've always discerned is that if the cover is not as perfect as it could be, it's because the artist did not read the book thoroughly. They didn't get the plot. Obviously, this one did, and you couldn't have gotten anything better. So you're moving forward. The inspiration came from the work that you've done in the past. You're doing a different type of law now. Your life experiences will have been broadened. And so you've got another book coming up that you feel reflects some of that, the experiences and the knowledge that you've had, without repeating yourself.
Right. I think I like to draw on experiences, real experiences, especially experiences facing women when I'm writing. I think that those topics are more meaningful to write about. And so when I can incorporate some of those sorts of issues into a book that's suspenseful, I think that it just makes it doubly fun to write, and I hope more fun for people to read. So my second book focuses on the postpartum experience, which can be a horror story in and of itself. So not so much you need to do to turn that into a thriller, but so that's the general basis behind the second book.
It sounds exciting, and we look forward to that. And as we've said, hopefully you can be with us next year, but if not, we'll do another Zoom. What types of things do you read for pleasure, or do you find the time to be able to do that?
I read a lot of the same sorts of books that I like to write. I like to read mysteries and suspense. I don't get that much time to, especially with the toddler and work. And if I do have spare minutes, I'm usually trying to write. But I get a little bit every night before I go to bed. So it takes me longer to get through a book, unless it's really good, and then I'll just be, up all night reading it. But I like, probably Laura Lippman is one of my all-time favorites. I love Patricia Highsmith.
Oh, you go for some of the classics there.
Yes. I think when I was on maternity leave with my first son, I read almost all of her books. So I'm looking forward to my maternity leave this time to get caught up on some reading.
That'll be wonderful, and good luck on that with two young ones.
I know, at least the older one will be in preschool at least. So I'm hoping to just kind of hold the baby and read with one hand.
It sounds good, and I'm a big fan of preschool. I just think it sets them up socially and emotionally for what's to come.
Oh yeah, he's my older son's been going to the same school since he was 12 weeks old, and he actually has two classmates who have, because it goes from infant to pre-K, so he has two classmates that have been with them since they were all 12 weeks, and now they're all moving into preschool together at this summer. So it's great. I love having him there for so many reasons.
Yes, no, it sounds wonderful, and that's a lifelong friendship being built. Very likely.
Yeah.
Sounds like another story.
Yeah, I know. There you go. Number 4. I'll have to write it down.
Well, but it does lead to more adventures, broader exposure of things, and together with other people. Any other questions from out there, folks? I always get a little stalled at this point. Silence, my goodness. Okay.
Well, any hints on the next one that will entice us?
Yeah, so the second one is how much can I say? It's we'll say it's a similar setting to The Favor, so it's a suburban community, as is so common in the domestic suspense genre, but it focuses on a young working woman who has her first baby, and she meets someone who she thinks is a friend while she's on her leave. She's struggling, dealing with her identity changing, really. And then so it sort of follows her relationship with this other person, her relationship with her baby, and with herself as becoming a new person. And it's definitely more sinister than I'm making it sound.
Oh,
That's great. Do you have, let's see, get back to the author. Okay, what am I? Just
and I
open it
tried
up.
to put the book cover behind me,
You did a
but
good
I don't
job.
know. I don't know, and I bet you Carol knows because she's real techie how to condense it so I can,
It looks
Oh,
great.
and now that I've opened it up to all of us, I can hold it up and figure out, there we go.
There we go.
Well, and it's just about what you have too, but you see the boxes and the other one down here.
Right.
So it's very, I just think it's the best cover I've ever seen for a book to give you the flavor of what you're going into.
Mhm.
I really appreciate your time today. I know that you have a lot going on. Is there anything else you'd want to tell us that I haven't brought up?
I don't think so. I think this was so much fun for me. I'm so happy to be invited. I'm so honored that you have my books at your store. I cannot wait to get out there, bring my little ones hopefully next summer and come visit.
We'd love that. I always keep a stack of little children's books for them to be amused with while parents try to shop. So we'll take care of the little ones. I want to thank you so much for this. We have the books in there. In fact, they're in the window because, as my customers know, I goofed up and thought it was going to be a live event. But we're thrilled to have you. Thrilled about your situation, and congratulations on the next baby. Big brother's going to have a little brother, so this is wonderful. And we'll be talking to you again very soon. I was going to mention something. Someone asked if you know the name of the designer, the cover designer.
Oh,
Is that what they're asking?
I think it's in the book. It says jacket design by Mel 4.
Okay. We don't often think to look for that. That's a good question.
And it's funny because I didn't even know the name of the person until I got the physical book. It was just so, it was just done so smoothly, so easily. But now we all know, so we can be so grateful to that person.
With good reason. I want to thank you so much for your time. We're delighted to have met you. We look forward to your next book. And
Thank you, Nora.
as I mentioned, this is going on YouTube, so everybody will be able to see it. Those that didn't get up this early or who had to work this morning. So, and I want to thank the people that did come. And good, the baby's due very soon. So early congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yes, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yes, we'll all keep that in mind. Be thinking sooner rather than later. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.